Good evening. This is John Bailey, and this is People to be Heard, the program where people who have something to say have their say. Tonight, you've got Rich Payne of White Plains, New York, USA. And Rich is a technician in the health industry, and he is here because he is the man who shot video of the wind towers off Block Island, which regular viewers of the program will remember. We showed on White Plains Week a number of weeks ago. Rich, welcome to the program.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
Right.
Pleasure.
And Rich, as you know, the reason you are here is because Peter Katz, my partner for the last 7 years, and I flew out to Block Island earlier this summer, and approaching the island. Now, you lived on Block Island and your family lived on Block Island. This is the Block Island approach from the west to the east. Where approximately is your family home? Does it appear there?
Yes, we're looking, if you're looking to the north, we're on the north end of the island, about a mile south of the North Lighthouse.
And now, when we approached the airport, we saw this, a wind tower. And then we saw a whole series of them, like this. And so you saw us do this on the show, and you said you had taken video of the whole scene. And why don't you explain to us as we roll this video?
Well, this is the workboat that goes out and brings the workers to the wind farm. And that's been in operation for about a year now. And I was lucky enough to approach the owner of the boat and ask if he wouldn't mind if I brought my drone along and caught some footage while the workers were disembarking for their day on the wind farm there.
Okay, why don't we loop that again, if we can do that, and you can explain what we're seeing as the towers come into view, particularly.
Well, the boat pulls up against the foundation, and it allows the workers to disembark from the workboat, and they actually climb onto the tower, and that's where they stay for the day. And then the boat comes back in the early afternoon and takes all the workers off. No one stays on the foundation overnight, so that's a daytime work job there. And this happens 7 days a week.
Right now, how high are these towers?
650 feet tall.
Boy, they don't look like it, and what amazed us about them was that when we approached them, there was no real warning, and they were not on the air charts.
There is an exclusion zone that the Coast Guard has imposed.
I see.
Unfortunately, enforcing that takes a lot of manpower. They're hoping that mariners use their best judgment in staying away from the foundations, for safety purposes and just to keep everyone, kind of at a safe distance.
And we all know that mariners are well known for exercising excellent judgment of their craft at all times. So there's nothing to worry about.
I am a former maritime boat captain as well, and I know that curiosity can get the better of folks. They want to get up close to these machines and really just take a look at them. And they are massive, and they're quite a sight to behold.
Yeah. Now, why don't you take us through the history of how this came to be on such a scenic, idyllic vacation getaway spot?
Well, I think the islanders, in particular Block Island, pay a hefty rate for their electricity.
About 65 cents a
That's
kilowatt
correct.
hour.
Yeah. And that is provided by, I believe it's 4 diesel engines that provide electricity for the island. And that's not a very clean method of providing electricity. And not only is it not cost effective, but it's also environmentally unsound. And so the islanders are stuck with this one method of power, albeit there is some solar energy out there to be had, but not on the scale that the island requires to maintain itself. And surely there are people out there that are thinking windmills are the next generation of power supply. And in about 2006 or 2007, I believe a request was sent out for proposals.
From the state?
From the state.
Yes.
And
Rhode Island.
Deepwater Wind was the winning bidder. Their plan was accepted. And from that, there's the process is very involved.
Now, wasn't there a cost overrun? And how much was the cost?
Well, in 2006, 2007, I believe
Yeah.
they were quoted as saying 150 million would be the cost, and that at the end of the day doubled.
Yeah, and that was for 5 towers.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the size of the towers, the megawatts that they were able to produce increased as well. When they originally proposed this project, the largest turbines out there for this type of project were 5 megawatt. And during the course of the proposal period and the contract negotiations, they came out with an even larger turbine. And so that's a 6 megawatt turbine for each of the 5 turbines that's out there now. So that produces more power, and that's why they are actually taller than they were originally proposed to be. The larger blades run the larger turbine, and it creates more electricity for National Grid, who is the power supply company in Rhode Island, and they are the ones who are now going to be supplying Block Island with the power.
Well, that is quite a lot of information to process, but it intrigues me. Why did they increase the power beyond what Block Island needed?
Well, because you've got a set cost for what it's going to cost to build these foundations,
Yes.
so that's fixed. But if you're going to build if you've got the capability to build a larger turbine and take advantage of the wind that's going to be out there, and you've got, you know, for let's say it's 90 million for 5 megawatts, but it's only 10 more million for the 6 megawatt, you're going to reap more power from a lesser investment. So why not?
Now, what was the attitude of the islanders? This took 9 years.
Yes.
And take us through it.
Well, I can't speak for all the other islanders,
of course not.
But as someone who's been on that island since 1992 as a summer resident, there is mixed feelings. Certainly, the islanders, many of them aren't wealthy, and the 65 cents per kilowatt hour is really hurting them in the wallet. And a lot of them are seasonal employees who can't afford to pay these outrageous, electricity bills year in and year out. A lot of these folks have 3 jobs, and their 3 jobs run from April to October, the season. Come November, that island is a ghost town, and how can these people afford to be paying 65 cents a kilowatt on diesel-run generators, which is, it's absurd.
And why is it so high?
Because the cost of getting the diesel fuel to the island is not cheap. When they're running fuel to the island, it has to have its own separate boat. That's Coast Guard regulation. You can't be running fuel with passengers on the same boat.
Really?
So those are added expenses that are factored into your electricity bill.
Yeah. Now, how deep is the water in which these towers are?
Roughly, I think it ranges from 90 to 120 feet. Not that deep when we're talking ocean.
And they're anchored on the bottom?
They're anchored. Actually, a friend of mine likened it to a bar stool. If you imagine a bar stool with its 4 legs sitting at the ocean floor, and then there are 200-foot drills into each of the 4 stanchion foundations.
So 200 feet
into the
below
bedrock.
the bottom of the sea.
Correct.
As anchors.
As anchors.
And, of course, structurally engineered by the experts to withstand any thrust of currents.
Water currents, yes.
Yes, water currents. Right. Now, how is the maritime industry warned of the existence of these just 5 towers?
The Coast Guard is the agency that oversees that, and they send out notice to mariners. They send out radio frequency calls to alert mariners to the warning zone and the exclusion zone, and the fishery people. Everyone is aware. Everyone that should be aware is aware of the project, at least on a local level.
Yes.
They're hard to miss, as you pointed out earlier.
But you could miss them in fog, which happens on Block Island frequently.
Yes, there is heavy fog on Block Island.
Yes, and they are well lit, I suppose.
The lighting?
They're not lit during the day that I could see.
No, I don't believe they're lit during the day, but at night there is a light beacon at each the top of the towers.
Okay, so right now we are joined by Pretty Girl. This is the drone, Mr. Rich's drone that he shot the video of the towers from, and the wind towers, and we're going to have a demonstration of this beauty.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to have to
remove
supply
here.
vehicles from the tarmac.
We're just going to turn
And
this on.
here we go, and
It's a pretty simple
yeah.
gizmo here, I have to say.
And we're revving up Pretty Girl's engines.
I would recommend we get up from our seats.
Okay, fine. We get up. Clear to takeoff. And here we go. There's little beeps.
We're warming up.
He's warming her up, and it sounds like a mini B-24 almost.
All right.
And there's your shot. This is Pretty Girl. This is a drone, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps first time ever in the studio.
I believe it might be.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for liftoff?
Okay. Ready for liftoff.
And here we go.
Oh, wow. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? How high should she climb?
It can go up about 1,500 feet.
1,500 feet. Wow. That's it. Pretty Girl is styling right now. And that little gizmo underneath is the camera. Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Whoa. A lot of fan exhaust. Okay. There it goes. Hey. Right. Okay, Pretty Girl. Boom. Well.
And there you have it.
There you have it. And now, tell me about this. There are the new FCC regulations on drones.
Yes, they were just passed
yes.
very recently.
Yeah.
Well, it's an easy hobby to get involved with, but as you know, flying with Peter, airspace is a dangerous place to be. Mm-hmm. And as a hobbyist, the FAA is concerned about these little toys interfering with manual flights.
Well, as your video of the towers proved, they're not toys at all. They give you looks you can't get at a price considerably less than hiring your own aircraft.
That's correct.
Yes, and not only that, but you don't have a pilot. Don't have to have a pilot, do you? Yeah.
No, you do not. If you
do you have to file flight plans?
No.
No, nothing like that.
When you fly these near airports, certain airspace requires that you notify the tower if an airport has a tower. Mm-hmm. You know, there's airspace classified from A all the way down through
yes.
G, I believe.
Yeah.
So in Class G airspace, I don't need to notify anyone. When I fly in Class B airspace, within 5 miles, I need to notify the tower that I'm going to be flying my drone in that airspace. And the tower can rightfully ask that I not fly for any number of reasons. And that's, again, for safety, and that makes total sense.
Yeah. So if you wanted to fly her around the New York City area, this would be a problem for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, there are certain areas in Manhattan that are outside of the safety zones of LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark. Mm-hmm. And I have flown in Manhattan on several occasions, and in a safe manner.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, what is the price of a drone like this?
This one is, I believe, marketed for about $1,000.
Uh-huh. Well, that is an investment every news organization should make.
Yes, they're easy to purchase, not as easy to fly.
No, but on the other hand, considering the absolute unreliability of most of the electronic traffic reports in the metropolitan area, it would be good to have drones that could actually go up the hutch, which is always jammed in the mornings, but nobody tells you it is.
It's certainly cheaper than getting manned aircraft into the air.
It certainly is. And now, one of the reasons we had you on to talk about the towers out off Block Island was this proposal that Governor Cuomo unveiled last week to build such wind towers or wind turbines.
Yes.
Right. Sounds much better than wind towers, I must say. But he wants to build them in about 16,750 square miles of ocean around the metropolitan area.
I believe a lot of parties are going to take issue with his plan.
Well, they're going to say where and when and how many.
Everyone wants
in
to
a
know
year.
where, and
Yes.
no one wants it to be in their backyard.
He floated a trial balloon, but I mean, do you think it is feasible to do that?
Well, that's what the Block Island Wind Farm and Deepwater Wind wanted to show and showcase, even with their 5 turbines that they built successfully off of the shores of Block Island. What remains to be seen is where Governor Cuomo would like to see this wind farm placed exactly. Is it feasible, for the depth of water that is the area that he's earmarked?
Which I think is really a lot deeper than 100
And
feet
that's
off
gonna-
Jones Beach.
That's going to be deep water, and it's going to add to the cost of creating the farm. And we should all be for this greener energy. We should be getting away from coal and diesel fuel for providing energy to all of us. But at what cost? And again, you have to keep in mind fisheries, and you have to keep in mind the commercial folks that use those waterways for a living, not just the shipping channels of the ships that are coming across the ocean, but also the fishing industry.
Right, and as we know, for many years, New York City garbage was dumped off Long Island, off New Jersey. Way out, we don't know what effect that is if it gets stirred up.
Correct.
But that's just off the top of my head. So, do you really feel, considering it cost, what, about 350 million, was
Correct.
it? To build 5. How feasible is this? This is billions and billions of dollars.
Talking billions of dollars.
Yes.
Well, Deepwater Wind is privately funded, and I believe that
Stock.
when they
Still stock.
crunch the numbers, they feel that
Pretty girl, we're sorry. We didn't ask you how you felt on that trip, but
she didn't want to hear that question.
well, very coy. But I'm being ignored here. She liked that one. Go ahead.
The price is, to your point, it was Block Island turned out to be double the cost
For 5.
for 5. So
That is instructive. Albany, take note, please, because I know you're watching.
yes.
Right.
But when the turbines do spin and the residents pay almost half of what they currently pay for electricity, then you're going to see why the project moved forward the way it did.
Right. So it's actually fired up now?
Yes, they've been spinning the turbines one at a time to make sure that everything's working properly. They will not be creating energy until the earliest, I believe, is November, but they're forecasting 1st of 2017 is when they'll actually be producing energy, and the Block Island residents will see a market reduction in their bills.
Now that should be carefully watched. And the excess is sold to the grid?
Yes.
The National Power Grid?
These 5 turbines are scheduled to produce enough electricity for 17,000 homes. And Block Island has nowhere near that number of homes. So the excess will go to the mainland, and National Grid will disperse that in there.
And it's anticipated that many of the suburban Rhode Island communities, which dot the shore and all, will benefit from lower rates?
Of course.
Right.
And that'll bring in more tourism dollars, and everyone. It is beneficial for everyone. And this is, this is what we should be looking at for future power.
And the power companies are going along with this wonderful idea of lowering rates, because it's not working out that way, the way the Sustainable Westchester Initiative and solar is working. They need several $1 billion to do the solar, and there's no idea where that's coming from.
Yeah.
And what do you think, just from your observations, whether wind makes more sense than solar, or solar makes more sense than wind turbines?
That's tough to
Financially.
answer. With the cost of solar panels being, I believe, fairly high,
Yeah.
and the cost of building these turbines is also high. It's a question of when the technology brings the price point down to a point where you can build these turbines or build these solar panels and still make it feasible for ordinary citizens to be able to afford to move forward with those projects.
Yes. Now, what do you feel should really be considered in figuring out how many turbines could be built off the ocean? What are some of the factors?
Is there wind there? That would be one of the first factors.
Yes.
You don't want to build 100 turbines if the wind isn't going to blow. And I believe Deepwater had commissioned many studies before steel was even put in the water to determine the location where the wind would be strongest and most suited for wind turbines to spin almost year-round. So location is, I want to say, location, location, location.
So the winds face in what direction out there?
I think the predominant direction of the wind is southeast.
Southeast. I was going to say that because we often do that. But anyway, so there's a lot of factors that they really have to consider, and they're going to supposedly do it like within a year. And it took. When did Deepwater finally come up with their plans?
They were finally approved in 2014, and so that's
7 years.
Yeah.
And then, but build in 2, but only 5.
Yes.
So this is a long way off.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud Governor Cuomo, and I think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I just hope that it moves forward in a sensible way and not rushed just to say that New York has created a wind farm, because that's not the way to go about this.
But the islanders were generally not as protesting about this project.
There was vocal opposition, especially for the folks that have homes on the bluffs on the southeast light side, where
That's
their view,
a lovely area.
their vista was ruined. If you want to listen to them, because they have sweeping views of the Atlantic Ocean, and now they've got sweeping views of 5 wind turbines.
Well, that happened up at Jiminy Peak in Hancock, Massachusetts, where I spend time, and they've got like 10 windmills on top of this majestic ski lodge mountain, supplying the entire ski lodge. But anyway, that's to be decided. I can hardly wait for I mean, that is going to be fun when the Hamptons and all those.
There will be vocal opposition, for sure.
What happened on the Cape?
Yes, Cape Wind.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you are also an avid cyclist, and you are very involved in the bicycle criterion.
Yes.
And let's see, you have your little poster of last year's criterion. So we want to give you a chance to talk about the criterion. How has the success of this been over the last 3 years?
We've been really lucky, John. The City of White Plains has been a great partner, and our charity, the National Council on Alcohol and Drug Dependence, has been a fantastic support for us in bringing much needed attention to the cause, which is alcohol and drug dependence. And as you know, that it's a problem that's nationwide and worldwide, in fact. And we're just trying to raise a few dollars for a charity that's local here in White Plains, and have some fun at the same time.
And how many have participated in it? Has it grown each year?
It has grown each year, and we're entering our 6th year. In 2017, we're changing the format a little bit to enhance spectator participation. We're moving into a nighttime race, which will be held on Saturday, June 3rd. And we're hoping that the businesses will see a boost in their business that day by bringing more spectators out on the streets. Whereas the Sunday morning race, we didn't see as many spectators. It's tough to bring a crowd at 7 a.m. on a Sunday.
It's actually very exciting, and dangerous to say the least. But at least you're getting the roads repaved for this year's, right?
Actually, the Department.
That's a joke.
The Department of Public Works has actually patched up a lot of the roadway on the course based on our input. And Rick Hope and his department have been fantastic in supporting us and helping us in any way we can to make this a safe race. Now, these are professional cyclists, and we ride a lot, and we know what we're doing, and it's not dangerous in any way. We work hard to make it a safe race.
Is it limited to professionals?
We have a beginners category because we want to make this an inclusive race and get people excited about biking in races like this.
And so, what number to call if people are interested in participating?
They can go to our website, www.whiteplainscrit.com, and there's contact information there.
Right. Now, let's take a wider view of bicycling. I was over at the train station just this week, and I noted with interest that the bike racks were full. Now, how do you analyze this? Are more bicyclists using the bike racks and trying to get around the city by bike, particularly the train station, or are mostly these rentals, or is it growing? Are the bike lanes being used?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cycling is growing. In White Plains, the mayor has implemented bicycle lanes already, and he has plans for more. And part of, I'm on the White Plains Transit District Task Force, and part of what we're looking at is a train station and involving cycling more into the plan for the future of the downtown area. And dedicated bike lanes and a bike share program are definitely part of what we're looking at.
And so we can expect more. What has anything developed out of more bicycle use at the station? Do you feel just on that perhaps parking has improved?
I think a lot of folks want to rid themselves of two-vehicle homes, and if they could bike to the station in a safe manner and had a comfortable place to leave their bikes, they would. Unfortunately, the way the structure is at this point, it's, to your point, it's not suitable enough for all the folks that would like to bike to the station. And also it's not as safe as it could be to get to and from the station by bike.
Or by car, for that matter. The traffic in White Plains is quite thicked up, and particularly in the mornings. Now, we've been talking with Rich Payne of White Plains, mainly about the wind turbines. I'll get used to this, but off Block Island and how they relate to the project for perhaps bringing wind turbines to the Atlantic Ocean right off New York. And what do you think is going to happen with this?
I hope it moves forward.
Crystal ball? Right.
My crystal ball is broken right now, but I believe this is going to happen. I think the people want it, and Governor Cuomo is right in announcing something early to get people talking about it, and then get people invested in it. And I hope that it moves forward, and I hope it's a success. I think we'll all benefit.
Okay. Rich Payne, you have been heard. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, John.
Right. This is John Bailey saying good night for People to be Heard.